Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Atlanta. So, here in Atlanta, we are electing a mayor. And it feels like more and more every day people are paying attention to this race. I think that's in part because this is an exciting time for our city. Right? This is a time in which we look around, we see more and more in the way of trails, in the way of parks, in the way of transit, and in the way of those things being on the horizon more and more, right? We taxed ourselves $2.2 billion recently in order to expand public transit across the city. And so overall, this is just a tremendously exciting time for this city, right? Certainly the most exciting moment in this city in my lifetime, other than perhaps the Olympics in 1996. In addition to that, this is a time of great anxiety in the city of Atlanta. People are concerned about the rising costs, right? We want to be a walkable, dense, wonderful city, but we don't want to be like some of our neighbors in other parts of the country, some of our peer cities where teachers just can't afford to live there. Police officers can't afford to live there. Artists can't afford to live there. Waiters can't afford to live there. Right? So we want to try to build a city where everyone can share in its prosperity and in this vision that we are collectively building together as we tell this story of who we are and who we want to be and who we will be in the years to come. And so it's no surprise that at this moment of great anxiety and at this moment of great excitement, that there's a lot of people running for mayor, right? And a lot of viable or serious candidates running for mayor. And it's so many people running that it's kind of hard to sort of sort it all out. I think voters are having a tough time. I think candidates are sometimes having a tough time. I think the press is even sometimes having a tough time kind of getting a lay of the land. So at this moment, Mary Norwood is the leading candidate, polling at about 25%. After that, the second place contender is Undecideds, which I think is still polling at about 20%. And then you have lots of candidates who are kind of bunched together, right? Who are all within the margin of error, more or less, from each other, kind of duking it out for that number 2 spot, right? So nobody knows what's going to happen. But what I do know is who I support. And I want to go on record right now with respect to who I support for mayor, why I support her for mayor, and I welcome your thoughts as well. So I support Cathy Woolard to be the next mayor of the city of Atlanta. And I support Cathy because I believe she is the best person to lead this city right now. And also because I believe she's the best person to take on Mary Norwood in a runoff. And for reasons that I've already said that I won't rehash, I do not think that Mary Norwood is the best person to lead this city. I think she is particularly ill-equipped in this moment in Atlanta's history to lead this city. And so for those 2 reasons, I support Cathy. So let's talk about both of those things. So let's start with the idea that she is the best prepared person to lead this city. When I say that, I mean that in terms of her competence, that is the things that she has done in the past in a successful way as a leader. I mean that in terms of her vision. By that I mean what she's articulating about a city that is walkable, that is ethical, and that is affordable. And also, I mean that in terms of her compassion, her life's work. Okay, so what do I mean by these things? So when she was the president of the city council, she is the person who took the Beltline from being an idea in the thesis of the great Ryan Gravel into actually being a plan, a project that is being implemented, right, by City Hall and across the city. So that in and of itself is tremendous. That she is, as some people call her, the godmother of the Beltline. Okay, and in candor, that is one of the things that first drew me to her campaign. But the more I read and the more I researched, the more excited I became. Because in addition to that, Cathy Woolard also passed, or that is, by passed I mean she wrote and she ushered through the only comprehensive anti-discrimination bill in the state of Georgia. It protects on the basis of race, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, in housing, and in employment across the city of Atlanta. So that too tells you something about her ability to get things done, and it also tells you something about her progressive values. In addition to that, right, she was very much a partner with Shirley Franklin, Mayor Shirley Franklin, during Mayor Shirley Franklin's first term. Today I think those of us who kind of pay attention deeply to Atlanta politics see a lot of tension right now between the current city council president and the current mayor. But that wasn't the nature of the relationship between Cathy Woolard and Mayor Franklin. They were very much a partner working together on things like, for example, the pothole posse, where you could call up and say where a pothole was, and it would come and get filled in. And by the way, for those of us who drive on the streets of the city of Atlanta today, I think we all could appreciate something like that again, because our roads and our infrastructure is a mess. Okay, so both big and small, she's able to get things done. In terms of vision, and some of those things kind of tell you about her vision, but in terms of vision, she's going to be a progressive leader of this city, and she's going to be a leader that privileges things like transit, public transit, and affordability. Right? Those things are front and center in her campaign. Right? And she's going to be a leader who's demonstrated an ability to be a very ethical leader. Right? A recent ethics expert, I believe, that I read in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution called her the squeaky clean candidate, right? And so that doesn't hurt either, especially during these times, during these challenging times, frankly. The FBI raided City Hall, and that's real, and nobody knows what's going to come of that. But we do need leadership that is visionary and that is ethical at this time in our city's history. And I believe she is in a good position to be that person. Finally, in terms of compassion, I mentioned her life's work, right? Even when she's not serving in public office, she's still serving people. Serving people at places like Georgia Equality, where she fought that discriminatory religious liberty bill that was being debated at the Gold Dome. She also served as the interim director of Aid Atlanta, working on behalf of people with HIV and AIDS across this city. Right? So I believe for those reasons that she is more than ready to be the mayor of this city. Now, why do I think that she is best positioned to take on Mary Norwood in a runoff? Part of it is because I think she's best equipped to take on some of the challenges that Mary Norwood has as a candidate and as a leader. Right? So the contrast, I think, will be pretty stark between Cathy Woolard's very successful record on big issues of getting things done and the sheer absence of such things on the other side. Right? Those are debates that I would love to see, where Cathy Woolard stands up and looks over at Mary Norwood and says, here are the things that I accomplished in terms of transit, in terms of housing, in terms of infrastructure, right? And that contrast, I think, will be quite stark. In addition, I think that that the attacks that Mary Norwood is likely to launch against some of the other candidates will be less successful against Cathy Woolard. I assume that Mary Norwood will come after some of the other candidates with respect to ethics. She'll try to tie some of the other candidates to the ethical woes of the current administration, either because, in the case of one candidate, is basically the chosen person to succeed the current mayor. There's another candidate who has been fined ethics violations in the thousands of dollars. There's another candidate who, and I won't say names because I don't want that to be what this is about, but there's another candidate who was the COO for the current administration, and so she'll be able to ask him, well, what do you know, or what did you know, and when did you know it? And so Cathy Woolard, because she's been away from government for so long, will not face that same sort of antagonism, and those attacks will not stick, in my opinion. So for those reasons, I think she is the best candidate to take on Mary Norwood. Now, some people have brought up some concerns with me that I want to kind of talk through. The biggest being that some people are just like, I don't think she can win, right? Because she's gay, right? And it's usually gay folks who say this. And I want to say that I don't fear that. And the reason why I don't fear that is because she's already won citywide before. And she did so decades ago, right? And so if Atlanta was ready to elect citywide an LGBT candidate decades ago when she ran, then surely they are still ready to do it again. And what we have to remember is that this is the moment that people are beginning to actually pay attention to the race. In October, a lot more people will pay attention to the race. 90 days out, the current mayor, when he ran, was polling at 6%. So that's not a great concern to me. So long as those of us who care about having a progressive mayor, about having a transit-oriented mayor, about having a mayor who will privilege affordability, about having an ethical mayor. So long as those of us who believe in those things, if we rally around Cathy Woolard, if we let people know about her vision and about her record, then I have no doubt that she is very well positioned to take on that number 2 spot and face Mary Norwood in a runoff and then become the next mayor of this great city. A city that I love with all of my heart. And I'm excited that such a tremendous public servant that she put her hat in the ring. She's been someone who I've looked up to, honestly, since I was a child. When I saw her leading as this tremendously successful, openly gay city council president in Atlanta, I was always intrigued by her. And the more I've learned, the more I've come to admire her. So she has my support. I hope that you'll consider giving her your support as well. And I look forward to your thoughts. So thanks.